What we're going to today is knowing you are perfect and your life, specifically your life. Knowing your life is perfect, even if you don't see it. Even if you don't see it. So, why this is coming up is because a few weeks ago, I wanted to do something to raise my self-image even more. So I was kind of looking in on my creator field and like things, for after 10 years of like blood, sweat, and tears, we're looking pretty good on self-image things that I thought to look at. Well, so then I'm starting to go, okay, like let's go to unconditional love and let's start looking at like the unconditional love. Unconditional love for like my attributes, pretty high, was testing pretty high on my percentage scale that we scientifically intuitively measure. Things were tested pretty high. Well, then I start to look at, and I'm outing myself, then I start to look at my level of unconditional love for myself in like seeing that not beating myself up with missing something or with choices that I've made or with like if the marketing didn't go the exact way I wanted to, I totally just blame myself and been like, I should have done this versus seeing how it's perfect, that it didn't go the exact way that I wanted it to go and like what it's allowing me to implement, right? Or like who here has like gotten like stubbed their toe or gotten a headache or gotten a cold and you're like, damn it, I got reflections. I shouldn't have gotten this. Who here has like been mad at themselves for like getting reflections? Let me know in the chat. Totally. So that is and was me, right? I tend to lean, I have high expectations of myself, which is great, a good thing. And then the negative that comes with that is then if something happens where you get a breakout or you get a headache or you get a cold or something doesn't go the way you want it to go and you start to blame yourself for the reflections and beat yourself up for the reflections versus having unconditional love for the reflections. And who remembers and who's heard me say before what the source definition of unconditional love is? Who remembers? Type it in the chat. What is the source definition of unconditional love? Neutrality. Really good. Great. So, if source definition of unconditional love is neutrality, which means seeing, yep, Kiana, good, seeing the negatives and positives in literally everything, right? There's an equal amount of good and bad in literally every single thing ever in this universe. The qualities you have, equal amount of good and bad. The things that go on in your life, equal amount of good and bad. So what happens though is we get to we get to sorry, I saw someone saying neutrality is only a 250 frequency. That's on like a scale that's kind of made up by someone, but neutrality in the source definition is being in complete love. So being in complete love is 1,000 frequency. So it's being in complete love with the good and the bad, seeing it come together and loving that thing anyway. I'm gonna sneeze. Confirmation. Sneeze the truth. If you don't know, we always say sneeze to the truth. It's like a Russian saying if you sneeze, like whatever you're thinking of or whatever was said is like confirmation from your higher self. So I always laugh whenever someone sneezes. So being in complete unconditional love is seeing the equal amount of good, seeing the equal amount of bad, and completely just loving both sides of that. So what even goes on in the world, like at a time like what happened yesterday, is you start to see sides forming and people who have been kind of like manipulated and by media start to, instead of seeing all sides, they start to just commit to one thing and then blame, 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 vice versa. Everyone does it. We all do it. But what Source would say is Source would be able to see the positive and negative and love the whole situation because it sees the balance, right? So when it comes to situations like reflections we get, like body ailments, like we get a headache or like we get the flu, what would I want to know from you, what would unconditional love look like in that scenario? Let's say you get a headache what does unconditional love look like in that scenario? Thank you, higher self, for showing me this now so I can shift it and get back on track. Yes, I love that. Seeing the good and bad of the headache, 1000%. It is happening for me, not to me, for me to shift and grow, 100%. Makes you chill out. Maybe the headache's helping you slow down, showing you a reflection. Good. These are all really, really good. So if you get a headache, it's equally bad because you have a headache and like that's annoying. And it's not the best time to like function or do anything when you have a headache. And the good of it is that you are getting shown a reflection of where you are being too hard on yourself somehow, somewhere, right? Now, what is now to take it even further, taking a reflection, what's the good and bad of a reflection? What would unconditional love look like with a reflection? Because do reflections happen when we're not ready to go to the next level, or do reflections happen when we are ready to go to the next level and those limiting beliefs can't come with us? Good, when we are. Exactly. So if we are getting reflections, wouldn't that be super beneficial for us because they're showing us where what can't come with us to the thing that we are working toward creating, right? So, why would we beat ourselves up about something that we weren't even fully aware that was going on until the reflection was there to show us? And that's what I want to dive in. That's a good question, right? I was asking myself the same question the other week. So that's what we want to dive into today. Okay, wait, real quick before we keep going in this episode, for those of you who are overachievers, just so you know, we've got a ton of free content for you, like free webinars, free trainings, free mini courses, free quizzes, so much free stuff, but you'll never know about it unless you are on our email list. This is something that we don't share anywhere else unless you're on our email list. So, what you're going to do is that you go to our website, www.alexandraninfo.com. And even better yet, if you go opt in right now for our email list, you are going to get instant access in your email to a free masterclass from me. So the moment you opt in, you're already getting a free masterclass from me showing up in your email. Now, this is only for our overachievers and the people ready to take all the information that you're getting on the podcast and take it to the next level. For people who are wanting to go advanced, this is for you. So I will see you in the masterclasses. Okay, now let's get back to the podcast episode. And what I was doing was I'm going to out myself, but when I clocked my unconditional love for myself in like in being able to see the perfection in like the things that I thought were going wrong, I was at like 11% out of 100 being the highest unconditional love. And I'm like, okay, here's an imbalance we can work on. So I want you to think about right now and tell me in the chat, what is one of the ways right now in your life that you do not have unconditional love for reflections or certain situations that are coming up where you maybe beat yourself up for it, where you maybe think that it's not perfect, where you maybe think you shouldn't have done it this way, where you maybe think you should have known better? Because here's the thing, we don't know what we don't know. And the only way to gain knowledge is by going through something. Oh, having debt, that's a good one. Having debt. Friends, the way I look, career, not making enough money, my financial situation, my skin breaking out, thinking back on conversations. Okay, this financial one is coming up a lot. So, with financial, Do you think that who's going to make more money? Some in their lifetime. Someone who's been through debt, someone who has had to be scrappy, someone who's had to learn how to get through debt, how to make money, someone who's gotten so tired of being through debt, they finally figured it out, or someone who was just handed money by their family growing up. Who will inevitably in their lifetime probably be able to make and cultivate more money on their own? The scrappy queens. Scrappy Sally. Literally, yes. I've had to get so scrappy in my life at certain points. The scrappy debt queens. Scrappy Sally. I'm going to start using that one. That's good. Exactly. So now we're starting to see how, oh my God, if I look at everything through the lens of source, well, then I can see the perfection in everything. Because yeah, like debt is annoying and it sucks and to the human eyes, it could be embarrassing. But I guarantee you the person who's judging you for having debt will never make more money than you will. Guarantee. Guarantee. Guarantee fucking tea. It's happened to me many times, right? Everyone's like, yes. I guarantee the person who is judging you for trying to post on Instagram for the first time will have way less success on social media than you ever will. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So, what we do, those we take on these, this is embarrassing. I shouldn't have been like this. And so what happens is we start to beat ourselves up. Well, then what happens is we don't want to really acknowledge that we're fully beating ourselves up because then most people don't know what the fuck to do about it. Well, now you're not acknowledging that you're beating yourself up. Now you're not acknowledging that you have these limiting beliefs. And now not only are your limiting beliefs taking over, but your unconditional love is also going into the trash can in real time. So there's so many having unconditional love for this part of your life is like a 10-step process. And we get to that in Glow Formula level 1. And we touch on it too in Glow Formula or Glow Foundation. But I have a step before the steps that are necessary to take before you even get to those other advanced steps. And the step before the steps that I didn't even talk about in Glow Foundation, this is like the step before even the steps of Glow Foundation, is literally it's just starting to fucking notice. All I want you to do this next week is I want you to literally start to notice how many times, and you will be shocked when you actually start to pay attention to this, because I've been balls deep in this work for 10 fucking years. And then when I looked at my level of unconditional love for myself in this area, it was at 11 fucking percent. And I'm like, fuck, I'm doing this way more than I even realized. I'm thinking I'm just setting high expectations for myself. But what I'm actually doing is mentally beating myself the fuck up if I didn't know everything there was to know about communication or about marketing or about something and I got a reflection, right? Or or I got a pimple or I got whatever. Instead of me going, oh, this is good, this is helping show me another way that I can up level or another thing that I'm doing that's not the most beneficial, I'm going, oh my God, I should have known better. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have gotten this because I should have known better. And so that in itself tanked my unconditional love for myself in this particular area. And I didn't even realize and this is from someone who literally like intuits what time to get in her car to drive home, like a psychopath. So if I'm not realizing that, then I'm like I need to I have been so I don't even know, just not even noticing it. So what I want you guys to start doing is to start clocking how many times a day and it doesn't have to be like a big beating yourself up session. It could just be like, oh, I should have known this. Or I should have been like, oh, I shouldn't have had this happen. Or like, oh, I knew better than to get this sore throat. Or I knew better than to say that, communicate that way. I want you to literally take the whole next 7 days, and that's your only tool I want you to do. because what happens is we don't realize how much we are doing it. And then we don't realize how much we're doing it. So then what happens is when you get the advanced tools that you learn in Glow Foundation or that you learn in Glow Formula, they don't they work really well, but you're missing out on being able to amplify them to 100% working. Because if you don't notice how much you're doing something, you now are missing probably an extra 80 times a day where you could implement these tools and shift your brain in the moment. So, all I want you to do this week, and we can start it in here, I want to know, like even today, what's one time today that already you can remember and think of, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, or I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't, be mad. And this, I see this in the spiritual community a lot. And it's like that overly positive, trying to like not be negative kind of mentality. But it's like, um, oh, I shouldn't be mad or upset at anybody. I shouldn't have been mad. And it's like, no, you got mad because your anger is good because it's showing you something. So maybe you got mad at someone because you were jealous of them. Well, your jealousy and anger just showed you that someone else has what you're not allowing yourself to have. Well, that's incredible. Now you're understanding that someone else has something you're not allowing yourself to have. Then you can start the healing. Why am I not allowing myself to have that? What can I do to allow myself to have that? What can I believe right now? What can I shift right now to allow myself to have that? Good. Let's see here. Guilty for feeling the weight and emotions of the tragedies yesterday, and the shock was slowing me down. Totally. Oh, I totally felt that too. I shouldn't be mad at me being so indecisive. It is helping me develop turning into my intuition. Exactly. That's a great way to bring yourself back to unconditional love, right? Like you can beat yourself up for being indecisive. But if nothing's good or bad, what are the good things that come from being indecisive? Well, it makes you think things through. It forces you to develop your intuition, or else you'll drive yourself nuts, right? It makes you not be impulsive. What's another one here? Beating myself up over going to bed late last night and being tired today. Totally. That's a great one. So when we start to, oh, here's another one. Oh, but what if this is a good one? Oh, but what if the reason you are embarrassed and beating yourself up is because you are judging someone else for continuous debt? Great. Whenever we're judging someone else because we're human, and then you're beating yourself up because you're judging, the only reason you're judging someone else is because you're just literally judging a part of yourself. So, how you can unconditionally love that is you're going, oh my gosh, this other person is being an incredible mirror for me right now of where I am judging myself for something. It could be this is where intuition comes in and where there we go through like a 8-step process on how to understand where you're doing this inside Glow Formula, but this is where then you start to go down the list and figure out where and how, what area of life you are judging yourself in. Beating myself up for looking up more information about what happened yesterday because then I was super emotional. Totally. Yeah. Yep. I get that. Good. So what's a good thing about that? Something really, really emotional happened and it's maybe in your life you desire to get a grip on your emotions. So maybe you've been able to get a grip on your emotions in lower level situations and now here's a really high level situation. Here's a kind of new level of the video game that just got harder, but now you wouldn't have been experiencing this if you weren't supposed to beat that level of the video game. It's kind of like, think of like self-image as levels. And it's like level one could be feeling good about yourself when you're in your bathroom alone. Then maybe level two is feeling good about yourself when you're with friends. But when you get to level two, like let's say there's 10 rounds of level one. You could do the 10 rounds, you make it to level two. Well, you're on the top of level one, but then you go back to the bottom of level two. So each level gets harder and harder, and you start at the bottom of that level. So it feels like maybe you are working backwards, but in reality, you just upped a level and just went to the bottom of that level. Didn't take a yoga class because I had my period, but felt lazy. Incredible, incredible. So then there, it would be like, what is the unconditional love here? And it wouldn't be just going, oh no, I deserve to rest. It would be even deeper. It would be going, what's beneficial about feeling lazy? Good. You guys are these are all really, really, really good. What do we do after we notice where we're beating ourselves up? That's when you go to the more advanced tools to be able to reprogram your brain and creator field. You'll find those in Glow Foundation and Glow Formula. But you can't even get to those until you realize, like, if you want to amplify those tools, you've got to realize how much you're doing it. And then when you realize how much you're doing it, you're going to be like, holy fuck. Like, I'm doing this way more than I even thought I was. Like, I really, really, I'm going to need to shift this. But until, like, I could sit here and give you a whole fucking pamphlet of like every single thing to do right now. It won't be beneficial. Most people are going to want to give you all these like bright, shiny tools. And what happens? They just kind of sit on your fucking tool shelf. They just sit there because you don't even know when to use them or you don't even know how often you need them. By starting here, you're going to start to realize, wow, I need to implement these tools like 200 times a day to counteract how many times I am in the negatives here. Okay, wait, real quick before we keep going in this episode, for those of you who are overachievers, just so you know, we've got a ton of free content for you, like free webinars, free trainings, free mini courses, free quizzes, so much free stuff, but you'll never know about it unless you are on our email list. This is something that we don't share anywhere else unless you're on our email list. So, what you're going to do is that you go to our website, www.alexandraninfo.com. And even better yet, if you go opt in right now for our email list, you are going to get instant access in your email to a free masterclass from me. So the moment you opt in, you're already getting a free masterclass from me showing up in your email. Now, this is only for our overachievers and the people ready to take all the information that you're getting on the podcast and take it to the next level. For people who are wanting to go advanced, this is for you. So I will see you in the masterclasses. Okay, now let's get back to the podcast episode. So step one, the first tool that will amplify all the other tools is do nothing other than this week, just taking note how many times you are beating yourself up for a reflection, something not going the way you wanted it to go, not having enough money that you think you should have, not getting the views you think you should have, not having the launch you think you should have, not getting the raise you think you should have gotten, right? The goal is to look at why even like the things that are just good and not like the greatest in your life, right? Why even just the good couldn't be any more perfect. The goal is to get to a place of I wouldn't change a single piece of how my life is right now. And starting to see through your God self lens of like why my higher self, my God self chose everything to happen this way it did. And I can see 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the road from now how every single element that's going on right now is beneficial to my life. Unconditional love is kind of like the shortcut way to stabilize our emotions and not have to go through like a super long process to stabilize our emotions. It's seeing mistakes as amazing because nothing's ever a mistake. It's making you better. Like, who here has made a mistake and then their life turned to absolute shit for the rest of their life? Probably nobody. But who here has made a mistake and that mistake led you to doing that thing better? Like in 2024, when we did our first ever Glow Foundation workshop, me and my whole team made the mistake of not checking the Zoom and how many people were allowed in my Zoom at one time. Well, there were like 400 people in the workshop, only 100 people were allowed on Zoom at once. Only 100 people got into the Zoom, and the other 300 people couldn't get in live and then had to watch the recording. We could have been like, oh my God, we're the worst team ever. That sucks. Like, we're awful. But then what happens? Then that's what gets written in our creator field. Now other people think we're the worst people ever and we suck and we're awful. Or we could see the perfection in it and be like, oh my God, better this happen now than when there's 2,000 people waiting, than when there's 3,000 people waiting, right? Better this happen now before next year when there's more people waiting. And then we didn't make that same like thing. We didn't make that same quote mistake this year. And so as soon as you want to go beat yourself up, you've got to start to see how it is actually massively upgrading your life. Now, there's a process and an 8-step formula to do that. That's in Glow Formula. But before we even get to that tool won't mean anything if you don't realize how much you are doing this. For example, let's do a practice of how to see the unconditional love in something. So I'm gonna make it like really silly. Like, okay, let's say I want you guys to basically see why just the good or okay in your life or even the negative is way fucking better than a perfect outcome. Okay. So let's use this as an example. Let's say I make a piece of toast and let's say I make the most fucking perfect piece of toast that anyone on God's green earth has ever had. What is the negative of that? What's the problem with making the best piece of toast? Like it's a perfect amount of butter. It like it's crunchy, but like melts in your mouth because there's all this butter. Yes, good. It can't be replicated. No room for growth. Really, really good. Standards are never the same. You'll never have anything better. Exactly. You might not be able to recreate it. You guys are good. Exactly. You might not be able to recreate it. So while it's the most perfect piece of fucking toast, well, now you might not be able to fucking recreate it. Created a villain who was never satisfied. That's good. Literally, the toast villain. You want to overeat, right? There's all these things that can come from the perfect fucking piece of toast. Now, let's just say you make an okay, good piece of toast. It's like good. It's nothing like fucking crazy, but let's say it's okay. What are the good parts of that? What's like really beneficial about just an okay piece of toast? Now I want a piece of toast. Room for improvement. I want a piece of toast too, honestly. Room for improvement. You know what to add next time to do better. It can get better. You satisfy your hunger. You pay more attention to what you do or don't like about it and can improve it. I get to eat at least. At least we get a piece of toast. You having better toast after that, and it will be a surprise. Yes, it can get better, and it's exciting to experiment with better. Yes, so it pushes you to get better and better and better and better. If you accidentally just get a perfect outcome in life, you're not going to be fucking motivated, right? Like if you just accidentally just get handed $1 billion or just accidentally get handed whatever, you're not going to be motivated. And there's an equal amounts of negative to getting handed $1 billion as there is good to getting handed $1 billion. What's a negative to getting handed? Let's go with 1 million. What if someone just came to you and gave you $1 million tomorrow? Taxes, negative, great. No motivation to work, totally. No motivation to be on your soul pull and change lives like you need to be. How do I spend it? Going to blow it all on toast after this conversation for sure. Will I spend too much? They might want it back. Yeah, they might want it fucking back. Not knowing what to do with it, how to invest it, being lazy, getting complacent, don't know where to allocate it. Totally. And if you haven't just built up the creator field to make $1 million, that means your creator field doesn't know how to hold $1 million. That means if someone just gave you $1 million without you having to work for it and build up the creator field to hold it, you're going to lose it just as fast as you got it. It's why people who win the lottery lose the money in like 2 fucking seconds because they don't have the physical actions, the beliefs, the thoughts, the creator field to be able to hold the weight in a good way of all that money. Yeah, you're not going to follow your soul pull, right? Lazy, might get into drugs or drinking. Totally, totally. These are all really, really good. Really good. So stop with the toast. Let's all go eat a piece of toast after this. So you guys are starting to get like, okay, wait, I need to actually start to have full unconditional love, which means we can start. It's a harder thing to go start with the negatives. It's easier to start with the okay things in life, right? So I have an okay house, I have an okay financial situation, I have an okay partner, I don't know, I have an okay whatever, social media following, I have an okay health, I have an okay body. Why is that perfect? How is that literally perfect and the best fucking thing that could ever happen to you? Because what happens in the spiritual world is you're designed to think like until you're making X amount of money, until you're driving a Lamborghini or whatever the fuck car, until you're doing this, then you're not doing it. That is not unconditional love. How are the good things, the good, okay, average things in your life, the best thing that could ever happen to you? Now, again, there's like a way deeper process to this in so many ways in Glow Formula. The only thing I want you to do this week is to notice even the good or average things, how you're kind of like, ah, I wish this was like different. Like, here's an example. Our country house, right? To me, at this point, I'm like, it's average. We've been in it for 3 years. I haven't lived in a place for 3 years since I left home when I was 18 years old. I've like moved every single year because I just get like fucking over it. Well, intuitively, we're not supposed to move right now. So I'm either have to like see how it's perfect or I'm gonna just be fucking like annoyed all the time. Right? Or even we had ants in our closet the other day in our I tore my house apart the other day, you guys. I don't know what came over me. I was like, everything needs to go. I was like a monster, like a tornado monster in my house. And I'm tearing apart our kitchen cabinet of like all this food that like I'm like, we haven't even looked at this food in months. And behind it, I'm starting to see ants just crawling, crawling, crawling everywhere. And I'm like, motherfuckers, man, like my worst nightmare. So me naturally wants to just burn the whole house down and go get another one because that's how I feel when there's a lot of bugs in some place. But I had to start to going, okay, how is this the best thing that could ever happen to me? Oh my God, this is showing me how extreme I'm feeling about something. This is a reflection showing me how extreme I'm feeling. I'm feeling so irritated that the reflection came down to feeling irritated and feeling like other things were infiltrating my ability to nourish myself in the financial area of life. So, because I felt that way, but I didn't realize how much I felt that way, I created like a few pimples on my face. I created ants in my closet. I created a whole slew of things. Well, that happening was perfect because I realized, oh my God, I feel this way so much. It's not even the truth. Let me shift this. And I can't feel this way and like expect to get to the levels of this I want to get to anyway. So it's perfect. Thank you, ants, for coming into my house. And what's cool is as soon as you realize that, things start to go away. Like everyone gets the point, like the pimples on your face leave, the ants go back to where they came from. And so isn't a sign of ants overworking? No, not necessarily. No, but they do, ants do work hard. They are doing God's work, I'll tell you that. It's hard to get rid of them. So The goal is to notice this week how much you are like annoyed with the average in your life or thinking the average is just okay. And notice how much you are being hard or critical of yourself for what you are or are not doing in any area of life, in your career, in your finances, with your health. I just sneezed. Sneeze the truth, Rachel. Yes. In your relationships, right? So start to notice. A lot of questions of what ants mean. Usually, ants, if they're getting into your food, you usually have some kind of feeling of like people are infiltrating your ability to nourish yourself. People or things are infiltrating your ability to nourish yourself in one or more areas of life. It depends where they are, that depends what they mean too. But that's what happens if they're in your food. So, as annoying as it is, the unconditional love piece is going, oh my God, they're literally showing me my own thoughts right now. And the process on breaking down what things mean can be really confusing. That's why we have like a 12-step process for that in Glow Formula. Again, doesn't need like to amplify that, start with this. You've got to start with the tool is the homework is notice from here on till next Thursday, notice how many times a day. And you're going to be shocked because we don't even realize, we're not even conscious. Like most people are probably 7% conscious of their subconscious thoughts. You guys are a little more advanced than most people, but even advanced of the advanced, you guys are going to be shocked how much you are doing this. Notice, notice, notice. Oh, I am annoyed about my average car here. I'm annoyed about my average looking house here. I'm annoyed about my average whatever here. I'm not seeing the perfection here. I I just got mad at myself for feeling emotional here. I just got mad at myself for judging someone here. Don't do anything from there. Don't implement any other tool yet. Doing this will amplify. If you were in Glow Foundation, all those tools you got. If you're in Glow Formula, all those tools you're going to get. It's going to like intuitively 29x those tools starting here. You're going to realize, holy fuck, I'm doing this every day, all day long.